You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
This makes my nipples hard.
Hey there, friends. This episode, Paul and I are taking a detour down the road not traveled.
Bless.
We'll be brainstorming some dream sequel ideas for those classic adventure games we know, love, and can't seem to stop talking about.
Right. This is the road slightly less traveled, but we have been down this road. There's been this is a booming area, right? It doesn't even look the same these days. So many new things. But back in the day, this was where am I going with this? Look, we did this before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think you were there. Look, this podcast has been around for 6 years, so it doesn't even matter. It was just I don't remember it, and I was the one talking on it, so I can't. I don't think even our longest listeners give the littlest bit of S word, because we're not cursing this episode. I just decided. I'm just kidding. That's some bullshit right there.
At least not in the first. Oh, too late. 5 minutes.
This is welcome to we're the sequel police. There we go. That's an adventure gamey way to tie this in. We're talking all things the next one, the one after the first one,
right? Or even the one after the fourth one or fifth one, depending. Sixth one even.
Right? Yeah, just the next one. The very next one. Okay, so listen. We're gonna. It's the second time I've listened to everybody, and it's only been a few minutes. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I don't want to clear my throat like that because that makes me think I should edit it. All right, I'm gonna regroup. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this in a cold, calculated, organized way. Nobody's gonna have any fun. It's just the facts. But no, it's not possible, and it's not true. But here's the slightest bit of order I recommend for the episode. Let's put aside our little list of planned sequels and let's separate the games that were supposed to have a sequel that never happened from the metaphorical nonsense that we're making up for fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds like a plan. We could do that. And I mean, some of them, they're like, I mean, how planned is it when there was like talk of it? Like some of them, maybe they were going to make it. Other ones, they're like, yeah, it was potentially going to happen. So we'll mess around with that a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so which way do you want to start? You want to start with our totally made up ones, or start with the ones that almost happened?
Well, let's start with the ones that almost happened. Let's go there first.
Okay, right. Because we kind of asked a question. Now we can answer it for everybody. Like, well, what do you guys mean? What almost happened? Well, folks.
That L real hard, folks.
Folks. It's a weird way to address people. All right, folks. I don't know, it sounds kind of like I bet you people that use folks say wash their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
I like it.
Appalachian dialect kind of stuff going on. All right. Well, anyway, let's go back and forth here. The first one I'm going to name is trying to decide. It's a pretty small list. Sam and Max Hit the Road 2. Mm-hmm. They were going to do that, and then they didn't. So,
right.
It's probably also the Dig's fault.
Like they did the later one with what was it with it? They did it by chapters.
Right, Telltale. Was it Telltale that did that?
Yeah, I think it was Telltale, but it wasn't like a continuation per se as another with Mackerel.
Right.
Venture.
Right. Well, I enjoy your use of the word per se. It's always a fun one. Per se. You know?
It's fun to say out loud and it's fun to type. It's really not at all.
That was my Well, okay, yeah, so they did make plenty more Sam and Maxes in chapters, but I would have liked a second Sam and Max Hit the Road, even though the Sam and Max Hit the Road one doesn't at all call for it. Like there's no extension to that story. Like it is neatly wrapped up. I mean, we could see what type of like utter chaos the world is in now that gigantic trees have erupted all over the place and destroyed infrastructures and highways and schools and things like that. Because I mean, let's face it, the end of that game had implications. It had tragic implications. I mean, there was a lot of destruction caused by the uprooting of sequoia trees all across the nation. But yeah, I mean, why not? I would have just liked another pixel art game because I would have played the other Sam and Max games if they were pixel art, but they were just
They were
gross
not.
3D, so I didn't. Ugh.
I loved Sam and Max was such a like I'm playing a cartoon like when we got to
Yeah.
it too. It was such a satisfying and a crude, funny, and exactly where my humor is kind of a cartoon. Man, that one hit so hard. I would have totally, if there was another one like that, that I could just pop my LucasArts CD into my XP computer there, which I do. All of those like old LucasArts game CDs still work in my older computer. I would love to pop Sam and Max 2 the way we're talking about it, all pixelated into there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I could just keep playing Sam and Max games. They could have
Mhm.
just they could have made 7 of them. I would have played them all happily, and which I guess to a degree is why they did keep making Sam and Max. But yeah, I don't have any experience with the Telltale ones. This isn't about that anyway. I will say, the Sam and Max VR game is kind of fun.
Mhm.
It's I would get it. If you're listening to this podcast and you have an Oculus Quest, you should get it. I don't even see how you don't have it already. Although I don't have Colossal Cave on VR, so I guess it's possible. Look, listen, I'm getting way off track. The other thing I'll mention is if you do have VR and you guys, okay, for like the 7 of you that maybe mess around in VR chat, my avatar is Sam in VR chat, and it's really good
Mhm.
because the mouth moves when you talk, and his ears are floppy. You can play with your ears, and they all blah, 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 like yeah, it's very satisfying. Go to that avatar search world; it's always on trending, and search Sam and Max one word, and you'll find Sam and Max. So check it out.
I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. What's next? What else? Anna? What else were they gonna make, and they didn't make it?
Well, I think Full Throttle 2 is on that list, and it must have been because the first one was so darn short.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Because I would have totally played more of it. I thought it was really easy and really fun.
It was. It was. It was. Yeah. That's. It was easy. You don't hear easy much, but I feel like it was easy in a
But
good way. In a like flowy, nice pacing. I didn't really get frustrated except for the mechanics with the demolition derby, which that's might have even been like emulation's fault. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was a fun game. Did the story call for it? I'm asking us both to recall something on the spot that we can't, but I don't.
I don't recall the end of the story at this moment, but I do know they were going to call it Hell on Wheels, and it was going to be done somewhere around the 2003 time.
Right. Ugh, that would have been probably pretty tough to look at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would have been. I think that I don't even know. Like, there was like some little cutscenes. I think they actually did like right around that PS2 era time, right? That would have been. So they did. I'm not sure if it would have worked in that timeline.
They could have story wise. I'm thinking they could have like. I believe that story leaves things where like at least the company, which I can't think of the name of, needs to be rebuilt. So like it could have been like what's next because everything was pretty, I don't know, kind of like dystopian at the end of that game. Like in the outlaw factor of like the world and yeah you could I don't know. I'm trying to think just what it could have been about, but I don't really I guess have enough because I mean again it was a pretty complete storyline where it's like bad guy takes over the business, you fix it, everything's pretty buttoned up by the end. I think I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't have really any business I guess doing this because I don't remember it. It's been 3 years. Like,
Well, we
well,
mostly talk about Sierra, to be fair. And we haven't done an episode on Full Throttle, which means I haven't played it since I was a teenager.
right. You have a good excuse because I played it, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I played the remaster with Strum. It was a lot of fun, but I don't remember the ending much beyond the fact that bad guy loses, you win definitively. So I'm just trying to think of what the
Mhm.
sequel could be, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it would have been tough to look at. It would have been pretty. And if you're wondering why I'm saying that, audience, you guys, all you guys, is because if you can remember, visualize the trailer, the sneak peek trailer for what Space Quest 7 was going to look like. It was just
Yeah.
nightmare fuel. I think it was almost downright scary the way Roger looked.
But yeah, I think it's essentially just a brand new story within the world. Ben comes back, he does his thing, and he leads them on and in all new adventures and on desert highways and cool 3D landscapes and CD bars and all that. It was going to come out on like Xbox and PS2, but it's like I think the whole project went from winter of '03 until August of '03 when it was canceled. So,
Okay, so they just
yeah.
kind of barely kicked that around. But
Yeah,
it's
they didn't want to
when you hear
lose the
adventure
money.
game sequels, like that's one of the more common ones that does come up though. Like, oh, there was supposed to be a sequel to that. It's like one of the more well-known canceled sequels, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Whereas Transition Time, I didn't remember that Leisure Suit Larry was supposed to get an eighth one until
Mhm.
researching for this episode. Like it was familiar once I looked it up, but it's not something I like carried with me. Like, oh yeah, they were gonna do another one just because there was a lot of them. There was already 6 of them,
Mhm.
right? Or was it 7? I always get confused because there's no 4. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
yeah, there's 7 of the Larrys. I mean, there's 6 of them, but 7 is the last one.
Right. Pedantically 7.
Yes. That's exactly it.
What do you know about Leisure Suit Larry 8?
I didn't even know that there was going to be one until you told
Terrific.
me on your
Okay.
side. So please tell me what you know while I
Don't
frantically like try to claw information out.
don't you throw that hot potato back my way. I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, no, it was gonna probably be just again just horrible, tough to look at 3D. And
Lust in space, hey? Wow.
okay, yeah.
Explores Uranus.
Dang, we used to know something about this at some point. I assure everybody that I say that a lot in my daily life. I used to know, things. So
Right, because he was abducted at the end of the last one, which is why I always figured it would make sense.
oh,
And
that's
then,
right.
right, then he's supposed to have alien babes, but they took away his memories. He ends up in like this weird parallel universe. So it did like they got some names down, and they looked at the possibility of making it like a full 3D game. But 1998 was when the funding was cut.
Okay, so this one was set up for a sequel then.
It was set up for a sequel.
Okay.
And it was even, I think it was referenced, even the teaser for the game at the end. There's an Easter egg at the very end
Right.
of the game that you can trigger that shows Leisure Suit Larry 8, Lust in Space. And I think, oh yeah, that there's some decks in the game that say they're reserved and you can only be on them if you're from Leisure Suit Larry 8, Lust in Space. So you can't even go there.
Okay. So okay. Well, if this was some sort of like prioritized list of games that should have happened that didn't, this would be at the top because they set it up to be at the top so far. Because this was actually called for, like Full Throttle 2. It's like, cool, let's just do more adventures as Ben. I'm not arguing that, but there wasn't like a need for it. Same with Sam and Max. That story was all neatly wrapped up. But yeah, when it comes to Leisure Suit Larry, they definitely called for it at the end, as they kind of did Anna.
Mm-hmm.
He said to
Uh-huh.
maintain her attention. Loom 2, where they kind of
Right.
set up Forge, which would have been, and we just talked about this last time, so we can move quickly past this, but they were going to make Loom 2. It was going to be called Forge, and it was going to be starring Rusty Nailbender as he rebuilds things. And then they were even going to loosely plan Loom 3. It was going to be called The Fold, starring Fleece, that nice girl with all the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think there was a fan sequel somebody put out a number of years ago, Theodosis, and it's called Loom 2, but it's kind of like this hand-drawn, cartoony idea. But it's anyways, it's a little demo. But I mean, people have wanted it, right? And it's even been a bit of a debate. Should there be another one or there shouldn't? Which we totally talked about on our previous episode that needs more numbers. So, give it another listen. Give it a
Yeah.
think.
You got like kind of this like Eminem hip hop undertone. You're like a bit of a debate back there.
Give it a bit of a debate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that was fun to listen to. Um, okay, so yeah, so you got Leisure Suit Larry 8 called for it. Loom basically called for it. It happens to work as a bittersweet, more bitter ending without it. Like it doesn't need one. You can definitely feel free to just go ahead and wonder what the fuck happens. But as far as like not wrapping it all up and having a definitive ending, it calls for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 that called for it that didn't get it, and that brings us to Space Quest 7, which, we both of us personally would have really liked to have seen. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it depends. Which Space Quest 7 do you mean? There's the Space Quest 7, the musical in a
Uh,
future time sector. Or I think there's a trailer, right? There's a preview in the Collector series. And in the trailer, 4-7, Roger essentially dies, right? Because remember, they were super tongue in cheek and they're just like, this ain't never going to happen. So let's just fuck around a bit here.
yeah, it's just eternally. Yeah. 7. It would have been nice to have gotten. I think we kind of have 7. That's the reason I'm being super weird and gatekeepy about this one is because we both had planned to talk about this in our next little segment. So I'm just gonna move on from it for now.
Mhm.
We'll circle back, gang. So, I don't know why I'm using weird terms like gang and folks today, but okay, gang. For the last one on our premeditated list of ones that were talked about and supposed to have gotten one, I think the last one is,
Mhm.
and this is going to segue us into our next part of the show, is Willie Beamish 2. So, Anna, why don't you
Right.
give them the facts, give them the cold hard facts on this one.
Well, it was going to be done by Dynamics. I'm now so confused. I don't even know what I want to be calling it now. The one that sounds like a blender because it's the one everybody thinks is wrong, but I think is right is the one I'm going with
It is
here. But anyway,
canonically Dynamics, yes.
now he's a teenager, and Jeff Tunnell, he was going to do the main designing again, and Sean Sharp was going to do the concept art, but Jeff ended up leaving Dynamics at the fall of 1991, and he formed his own company, which was Jeff Tunnell Productions. And so it kind of, they said that Dynamics was still working on it until the winter of 1992, but no, they ended up just kind of like canceled, done. So almost. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit later on, just in the fun way, because there's just so little out there that was actually done with it that we could probably mess around with it a bit anyway.
Yeah, so let's go into that now. Okay, crew. I I don't think I can
Yo,
keep this up.
crew. Yo, what's up in the house, potty people?
Man, that was
Do
okay.
this.
Look, the show's only gonna get better from here. We promise. This is the part we really wanted to do, which is we're gonna take sequels that we just wanted to see made, and we're just gonna BS about them back and forth and try and hammer out some details, flesh out what it might have been according to us on the spot. So let's start with Willie Beamish 2. We both happen to have picked this one, so we'll just give our own little ideas and maybe we'll even come up with one grand one. But why don't you go first, Adam? What would you do for Willie Beamish 2?
Well, my best play on it was what I wrote in my notes, which is Willie Beamish too. Now Willie is the horny one.
Right. And it's a brilliant catch line. I could see why you wouldn't feel the need to even go beyond the catch line. What
Nope.
else do people really want? Yeah, Willie Beamish 2. He's going through some changes. He's
Yeah. Because he's in the next position up. So now instead of him wandering into his sister's room while she's taking a bath to cause trouble, it's going to be him in the bathroom shaving, and his little sister, who's going to be his age now, is going to come in to cause mischief. So I mean, maybe Willie Beamish too has a little bit more involvement with the little sis. Maybe a little
I
bit
hope
more
not.
like you can switch between characters. Well, imagine how annoying she could be now that she's like 9 or
Right.
11. Uh huh.
Yeah, no, let's not do math. I love how you swapped out Willie and what was the older sister, Brianna, or was that the younger sister?
I think that was the younger sister.
Okay, so Willie and older sister, you
Mhm.
switch them out in the bathtub, and you're like, so Willie will be in there shaving. So now I'm
Yeah.
picturing Willie in the tub with his leg up, all like sexually. Like Willie, you slut.
Oh goodness. Well, Willie's free to be whoever he wants to be, man.
Yeah, no,
Fine.
exactly. I'm all about some smooth legs and a rat tail. That's just wow.
That's hot. You have to shave your chest too if you're at that point. I used to do a lot of swimming when I was a teenager, and a lot of people of any sex would entirely shave everything but their head to say it went faster in the water. And I've always thought, unless you're like an Olympic swimmer, does it really? Is that really why? But I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, we're shaving off milliseconds here. Like,
Yeah.
how good are high school swimmers that we need to shave off tenths of a second?
It's insane out there. It's kind of like how y'all Americans would treat football, I guess. A pretty big freaking deal.
You got right into character for that. Y'all Americans with your football. That was some good cosplay there. Okay, well, listen, yours is a brilliant tagline. Now Willie's horny. Horny's unfortunately he's dead. He's a frog. They probably don't live that long. I don't know. Again, this isn't a
He got
biologically fact.
overworked a little too with all the training and the jumping. It was a hard life.
It was too much soda. You can't feed that to amphibians, man. It's not healthy. Um, but Willie Beamish 2, back to school. It needs a better title. Like I didn't, some of these I did while pooping. They weren't extremely well fleshed out, but that's why we're here now to work some of this out. So okay, because I had a real reason for this. Is they marketed Willie Beamish as like, what if you could go back to whatever years old, knowing what you know now, and that's like a fun premise. Like you get to like control a kid with the knowledge of an adult. Some pretty creepy implications now that I say it like that, but you get the point. And I thought it would be fun to go back to school because I really like the segment in Willie Beamish, the beginning part where you're in school, and like I don't know, I just really like that part of Willie Beamish where you get to like use your adult brain to get out of school. And I guess I'm just trying to say is I'd like to do Willie Beamish 2. The summer's over, school starts. So I wouldn't have done what Dynamix was saying where like he'd be a full blown teenager. I would just do a continuation of the timeline. Like summer's over. Okay, fine. Horny has to be alive then. He's still alive. That was just like a week ago in this premise. But summer's over. You're back to school, and this story takes place during school. And not saying like the whole thing's in school, but you know what I mean. Like school is a bigger part of the game.
Yeah, more school because it was it was like the first scene essentially, and the school part was a fun dynamic.
Yeah, see, that's what the kids want in their video games. They want more school. Yeah, you know why?
Kids, Paul.
I want to take this back to school so I can manipulate my way to the top in school with an adult brain. Because I think a lot of us feel like, man, if I could do it again, knowing what I know now, like, dude, it would have been a breeze. Like, I could have just, the word manipulate is just a perfect word for it in that sense. Where it's like I could have just completely worked the system to my advantage, knowing what I know now. So anyway, that's what I would. That's man. The ads for Willie Beamish are wild. This one says, for 30 years, cartoon characters messed with your mind. Now it's your turn.
Ooh, shivers.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about taking Willie back to school?
I love the concept. I've always, as I said, I wanted more school, and I was disappointed when he left and you couldn't go back, but I get it. It was the beginning of summertime. So it's like in some games, there's too much school and you can't leave. I like the mix. Some of it's school and some of it's not school.
Yeah, because you know what? It was fun in Beavis and Butthead too, the school segments. There is something fun about being able to, maybe it's because you can like rebel and just like, I think this is all just coming down to the getting out of class puzzle with the hall pass. Like that was fun.
Being naughty is fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well that well's pretty dry, so let's move on to the next one. Well, I guess we both went first because we both have that one. You want to go next? You want me to go next?
You just you can you're good at doing the words. You can do the words for the next one, and I'll add words in.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna word hard. Here we go. Gold Rush 2. The 3D one doesn't count. It's a working title. The 3D one doesn't count because I didn't play it, and it's fine. I just don't count it because it's 3D. I just want another pixel art AGI Gold Rush game. Maybe even SCI 0. Okay, but I want it to be parser. Okay, fine. Let's open this thing wide up. It can be point and click too. That's fine. But I want another Gold Rush game. I believe in the 3D remake. Which I'm not going to shit on because those are really nice people that might listen to the podcast.
Well, the remake was like they essentially continued the story. Jake and Jared found the gold in the Motherlode, but in their hometown, it's not always so good, and they have to go deal with that. So that's like essentially the premise.
Right. Thank you. So the loose premise is like they get rich. Jarrod. Wait, I think Brian helped us with this, and it is Jared, right?
Yeah, it's just Jared.
Just Jared. It's not fun. I like Jarrod. It's got penis implications in the rod and just whatever. Okay, fine. So Jared and his brother get a lot of money and they go back to Brooklyn in the 3D one. I say, I don't have my Pringles can. I used it on the stream the other day. It's still in the living room. Whatever. Look, in this one, in my new idea, or in just my only other, look, I'm not doing good with this one. It's fine. But they're going to go back to Brooklyn with their riches, and they're going to be like, you know what? You know what I yearn for? Jared's brother? And Jared's brother's all, what's that, Jared? And he's like, I told you it's Jarod. But damn it, why do you always mispronounce my name? And then he's all like, my bad, bro. And then he's like, what do you yearn for? And he's like, adventure. More of, that exhausting trip we just got back from. I want more of that. I don't want to sit home in my pajamas for a week after all that. I want to get right back on the horse and and now Gold Rush 2 turns into a Golden Wake because they're going to go to like Florida or somewhere and develop it into the into the next big city.
Right. City creation. So is it going to be like part sim?
Because I hate that. I hate that part of it. But it seems like I accidentally pushed it in that direction. You're right. But where like they pick a booming little town in the USA and turn it into one of the future cities as Francisco brilliantly did in the Golden Wake. I love that game where you get there, like the boom of southern Florida, of Coral Gables, and so Gold Rush 2, a Golden Wake coming 6 years ago by Grunus.
I'm in. I'll kickstart that.
Sweet. Okay, your turn.
All right. Well, I'm just going down the same line you're going down, but hang on, I'll go to my own line. What do I have here? We've got
Get off of my line.
Quest for Glory 6, because now here's the concept, and I've been waiting to shout this concept out of my own for a while. But like, say you've played all the other Quest for Glory games and you finish them and you finish the 5th one and it teases you and lets you put your hero that has been through all these epic battles and is like just the most epicest hero around on your disc to save it for Quest for Glory 6. Now, imagine that I have a disc that has like my paladin and my grand thief and wizard and everybody. They're sitting on their disc and they're throwing stones in the fire. And they're all remembering all the cool times that they had in all the other Quest for Glory games. And they're looking at each other and they're just waiting for something to do. And that's it. That's they've been sitting there for years and years and years. And the game kind of almost came to be like they had been talking about it a little bit. And then like there's a Hero 6, which is like a fan base project, but that's been going for like 20 years. And there's still a little bit here and there with it. I mean, I'm in the Discord and I see it pop up, but nope, still my heroes are there, lonely, and waiting for the next game, which in the next game would be interesting because technically, not that it has to happen in the end of 5, your hero can get married. And so it could be like now you're a hero, but you also have a family. So if you take it in the direction of that, it could be a little bit of the story where you have to go off an adventure. And then it could be like a twist with the Dragon Ball because you're married and you have kids and you need to figure out your children's schooling and their training. But initially they were going to have it so you could pick out your hero. So it could be, say, Elsa, or it could be the guy. It could be a few different choices. It wasn't just like a rote, here's a boy, you can pick one of 3 of them. So I think it would have been a little bit more complex. It might have continued. I guess the 5th one was so 3D. It probably would have continued in that vein, maybe even gone in the direction of more of like an RPG. But no, in the meantime, very, 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 very lonely heroes.
Right. And you would need Richard Aronson to program that. You would need the Conquest of Longbow, like experience to account for all the just snowballing amounts of variables that there would be from all the previous discs and potentials, and then the family situation. That'd be very cool. It's interesting you said that maybe it would be turn more RPG, or I don't. When you didn't say it, but I guess I just pictured like isometric, because the Coles kind of did go that route with the first Hero U game.
Yeah, I can see that, and I love that game. Hero U was great, but you couldn't leave the school. That was one of those where you were in school the whole time and other people would leave, and due to whatever restraints in whatever part, you couldn't. So like, I think a game would definitely benefit from it going both ways.
That's interesting. Right. It's interesting more so that you mentioned how the other people could, so that maybe that potentially made you feel a little trapped.
left out. Yeah. And then everybody's gone for the whole weekend. So they've all gone off and they come back with adventures about going into town. And you're like, oh, now I can't even talk to them and they're not here. And it's just so lonely in the school. And there's just teachers around. Yeah.
Right. That's an example of school not being so cool in a game then. Well, that's not true because they're in school the whole time, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, my heart's not in this argument, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm just happy that you're excited about Quest for Glory, buddy. You know?
Yeah, I'm happy to have been able to talk about it. I'd like to bounce it off of somebody, and I think you did a pretty good job, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, having zero knowledge on the context made it a little difficult, but ultimately, just from a nerd point of view, all I could really think the whole time you were talking was like, what kind of disc would this information be on in this era, right? Because it's like,
Mine's on a floppy. My originals, they're all
right,
on a floppy.
it's in that
And
period.
go ahead.
No, please. Yeah.
I want somebody to draw this. I want somebody to draw a floppy disk, and hanging off the edge of the floppy disk is like the heroes. They could be fishing or like roasting a hot dog on a fire, but they're just sitting on this floppy disk, essentially represented as eternally waiting for the next game to come out. And they're just kind of stuck there until then. That's my image. I don't have art skills or how to put that together.
I like that. There's a profound sadness.
Yeah, it is. It is really like they're so useful and wonderful. And haven't you ever felt that way in life sometimes where it's like, oh man, like I feel this way like all the time in the last sort of couple of years. It's like I've got all these skills and all these things I can do, but due to circumstance, I'm not able to use them. So here I am. I'm just some person throwing rocks in the water, waiting for the opportunity to just do what I already know I know how to do.
Right, waiting for this call to action. That's bumming me out. It's pretty good though. It reminds me of I'm thinking of like the Andy's toys, like up in the attic when Andy's like 56 years old and they're still just waiting for that day. And also in this case, Andy is sterile, so there are no
children.
Yeah,
Poor Andy's had a rough go in life, but he's got a friend in him somehow. But no,
wow, yeah, very good.
Else. Yeah,
we'll
be okay.
Yeah,
that's my point. Quest for Glory 6. I would almost have that as a tattoo. The heroes, like, because it's like poignant. That word. It's that.
Right. It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can feel the sadness washing over me as we like a warm blanket of despair and nihilism.
What does it even matter? Grab that magnet. No, man, don't do it. No, man, just take the magnet. It's like, don't do it. You still have so much to live for. What, man? When, man? When?
Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. For real. I think about this often I went through that brief phase of archiving all my discs and being a little weird about floppies, but it's like we live in such an anti-floppy world now. Like everything is magnets everywhere. Like our phones charge on them. Our cases have little magnet things so for the wireless charging, and like some cables threats. Like connect to things by a little magnet to make sure it's like they're everywhere. Yeah. It's
I'm still scared of them. I'm like, oh, the purse, how does it close? Oh, there's a little magnet in that clasp. I'm like, no, I'm out. Right. There's no freaking. I'm going to put it right there.
Us and our listeners are the last group of people to be worried about degaussing. And
well, yeah, you want a nice silent background so that you can re-record with class right away without having to.
I don't know if I've ever heard that word said out loud, so I might not have pronounced it right, but whatever.
I used to have a degausser. You have to plug it in for it to generate the gigantic magnetic charge that looks like these pinchers. And then you just like put it on the tape and and then all that fuzzy backgroundness of all the times you've deleted your radio recordings is gone and you can just start fresh like a newborn baby.
Yeah. It's like the Men in Black thing, the little wand, just poof, goes the wand. So, all right, well, let's move past the existential period of this episode on to Freddy Farkas 2, Frontier Murderer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the working title. I actually have the least amount to say on this one because I don't really know where I'm going with it. This is a classic case of I just want more Freddy Farkas because I love that game. I love the crafting of the whatever's drugs, pharmaceuticals, and now I'm realizing as I say that out loud that I immediately I backed myself into a corner here because I'm calling for a prequel here for some reason, which would, well, I know the reason, but it does go against the whole purpose of wanting another Freddy Farkas, which is to do more of the crafting. That was so fun. But I was calling for a prequel because they tease Freddy's background, I guess you'd say, and and how he was a gunslinger. So like it would be cool to see that world, like see the wilder, more I don't know. That was inappropriate, so I had to skip a frisky version of Freddy. But that robs me of the crafting. And gunslingers don't usually make for good adventure games because then it's you're just shooting stuff. So I'm gonna retcon this on the spot. Instead of frontier murderer, it's frontier licensed physician. In which case, yeah, see, doctor getting doctorates is sexy, which is what Freddie did. He got a doctorate, and now he orders the prescriptions. Whoa, moving up the ladder, yeah. So
he has interns for that other stuff now.
Right. Ah, damn it. See, we still can't craft pharmacies. Okay, look, listen. It's just a week later. You're still Freddy. And this time, instead of an overarching plot that forwards the progression of the game, you just monotonously, continuously make pharmaceuticals
That
until
kind
the
of
game ends.
That fits with my idea on Freddy Farkas. Because
Okay.
I was thinking Freddy Farkas, Frontier Hospital general manager, but it's a sim. And now he has to like run the hospital in the Wild West. And it's kind of like any one of those kind of hospital games where you run it, right? But it's with the twist because it's funny and there's hot spots and you can click on everything and you can have dialogue with the patients and it can result in the outcome because say you marry another nurse or two patients meet each other or there's like other stuff going down or you can even employ patients that come into the hospital. So there's all these extra dynamics and it's very cartoon-like.
Right. Like you still have to order them remedies. So it's right. And it's a fun era for that too, because that was back when they'd be like, well, just here, take three teaspoons of pure cocaine. That'll fix what
sort
else
you.
you. And it kind of did. Yeah.
It kind of did, at least for 15 minutes, for real. Wow, this is great. I can't believe you fixed me. And oh man, that didn't work. I got to go back for another script, man. That was helpful as shit. Yeah.
Here, try this mixture of molasses and heroin for that broken leg you have. It's not going to fix it, but I challenge you to give a shit about it being broken. After
No,
you.
that's the iron in the molasses that really
Right.
made it work for me.
something phosphorus, So, well, anyway, pick that up this fall. I can't wait to try out Freddy Farkas 2 licensed musician.
Now done by Maxis.
Oh my god. All right. That was mine, so now it's your turn.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to go into my next idea was Police Quest 4, but instead of being SWAT, it's actually Police Quest 4 where, they've had a baby now and Bonds is all like, he's got to be a dad and now he has to juggle cop life with home life and maybe bring in a new partner because Keith is now like magically become like the owner of the whole, like the police chief now. So because of the way that he runs it and the fact that he doesn't give a shit, it's actually technically Sonny that's running the whole department but he can't make it look like he is because it is actually Keith. So it's got like all these really cool dynamics that would continue the storyline. And then it turns out Baines is a kid randomly turns out is out there. And I don't know, you'd keep it forward along the same line. Because even 3 was a little sketchy on story, right? Compared to 1 and 2. But at least it didn't do what 4 did. Because you're like, you're calling this Police Quest 4? It's like, no, this is like a cop scenario training game. I don't see how it entirely fit. It wasn't what I was looking for 4, right? Obviously.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, you lost me and got me right back. I'm not sure it's ever happened before just in my life because you're like, no Keith as his partner. I'm like, I'm out. Like I'm taking issue. I'm not jotting down a timestamp. And then you're like, because he's the fucking, the man now. He runs the whole thing. I'm like, okay, I'm back in. But no, you know what? We're forgetting Police Quest 4 open season. But you're right to forget that because everybody hates it. And the guy behind it, whose name I forgot, something Rodney King guy.
Daryl Gates.
Thank you. And so, there was open season, but
it wasn't a continuation again of the story. It's like after Police Quest 3, there just wasn't any more real Police Quest with the characters we know and love. We want to see what happens.
Right. And there's also Police Quest 3B, Blue Force, which
we're going to do an episode on that one eventually.
Okay. All right. I'll save all the awesome stuff I was about to say. And let me tell you, it was awesome.
So good.
It was probably pretty smart sounding.
We're going to talk a lot about his grandmother in that episode.
Are we?
She's got some issues.
That was a sexy grandmother too, let me tell you. But we'll say again.
Oh my God, she's bad. She would kick his ass. Like, dude, she is hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, what are we talking about?
We're going to go. This was my game.
No, I'm not done with this yet. Nope.
Yeah.
By no means. Because you started off by saying that they have kids. And I think we should focus this down, hyper-focus it to Sunny's home life. Let's just make it about balancing work and family. It's just a real...
It's a time management sim.
Yeah, it's just a real nitty-gritty... you want to
every time she yells, you have like under 10 seconds to give her like favorite whipped mocha drink. Otherwise you end up losing like cred points and you can't get laid at the end of the night. Right. And she is going to yell because you're trying to balance time with the boys, but also time at home. And it's like, hey, look, I love spending time with you. It's just, it's different than hanging out with just the guys. And it's not anything on you as a person. It's a matter of fact, it's a role you can't fulfill. Look, it's going to be too real. And also Sunny is Keith. There's not enough Keith in this scenario. So now it's about Keith. I decided. Okay, I'm done. Does he get married?
Of course not. No, Keith, you can't tame certain horses.
Keith is sleeping on Sunny's couch. The whole game is from his point of view as he tries to navigate not getting kicked out by the two of them because they're actually trying to make a career and life work while at the same time trying to teach their kid to smoke.
I'm torn between two directions now. One is Keith is the guy on the couch for anybody that's seen Half-Baked. And for anybody that hasn't, Keith is the spirit of Simonon. He is a wild stallion in which you go through, just this long story arc, all to conclude that some things are not meant to be kept and owned, but rather appreciated freely and next to. It's like a butterfly in the palm of your hand. You can't close your hand around it, or its wings will welt. You have to let it go and trust it'll come back. That's Keith. Keith is a beautiful butterfly. He
really is. In wisps of beautiful butterfly smoke.
Man, yeah, I could smell his denim jacket when you said that.
Yep.
All right, that was fun. Okay, so Police Quest 4 now with more real problems than Keith.
Right.
Okay, well, this is going better than I thought it would personally. So Echo Quest 3 is on my list because, actually, here's why. Echo Quest 3, now it's a trilogy, is the working title for this one. And this is really just on an OCD level of just, it's weird having two of them. I don't like when there's two out there. There should be one or three. It's just, there's a place for everything and everything for a place or something. So Echo Quest 3, now it's a trilogy. I really actually struggled with this one because when it comes to the environment, I'm going to switch this into a slightly more serious tone. Okay.
Ooh.
Do you understand?
It's like an ASMR kind of like a voice. Or like hypnosis. You could do like a hypnosis video. I need you to close your eyes now. Do you understand? Just say so quietly in your mind. It's okay.
Do my fingers on this. Okay. I had a hard time with Echo Quest 3 or Eco Quest or whatever pronunciation.
Dynamics.
But yeah, and the third one is done up in Washington by the Dynamics crowd, just to why not it? But
Mhm.
okay, the first one is like you're cleaning up the oceans,
Mhm.
and that's 30 some years later, it's actually still pretty out of control and a problem.
Yeah, so much so that like there's this grave illness that affects all the Grove people, and there's bad stuff going down.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. I'm gonna on your word for it, totally. The Grove people wow, sounds like a villain for the upcoming game I'm trying to picture it. The Grove people. Um so okay, and then the second one was in the rainforest. And so
Mhm.
it's like, okay, those are like the two things that you need to clean up.
Mhm.
Or that make for good generalizing as far as
Right.
like examples of how we actually heal the world and make it
Mhm.
a greener place. So besides peeing in the sink, which is a great
Mhm.
way to go green, a lot
Mhm.
less water's wasted. Just everybody start peeing in the sink. Maybe just the guys, because it's a whole thing
Mhm.
for you guys. You have to get in
No,
like
I
this
don't think
little.
it's fair. You shouldn't say just girls or guys. I think anybody who wants to pee in the sink is free to pee in the
Well,
sink.
look,
You have to figure out your own way. I'm not going to stipulate how to
Look,
do
that's
it.
fair. I'm not trying to like tyrannically say that women can't pee in the sink. I'm just saying that
Right.
it's easier for the dudes to. One, you got a height issue. You guys are statistically shorter than the height of the average countertop. I decided. All right, that's probably a fact. And then two, you guys got to get into this whole crab-like position to pee upright, and it's uncomfortable for everybody. For you, for us looking at it.
For everybody else in the bathroom at the same
Like
time.
when girls pee standing up, you kind of do this weird sumo wrestler thing, where you.
No, it's true.
So that's, or you could buy the little thing. It's like a big,
Shiwi.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a clam shape. Look,
Great for camping trips.
exactly. So if
Yeah.
you wanted to do that, that's cool. So no, you're free to. I'm just saying the benefits may be just outweighed by the cleanup at this point when it comes to girls doing it. What are we talking? Echo Quest 3. Start
Yeah.
peeing in the sink. Is
So what? So
okay.
what was the third one? What's Adam up to in the third one now? What's going on with our friend?
Right. So in Adam now, instead of actually helping the environment, he just spends all day online yelling at people at how they're not doing enough environment. He's
Right.
he's a go electric guy. He's
Right.
just online talking about how he owns a Prius. And it's
Mhm.
it's he's a real preachy little son of a bitch. It's hard to take. No, all right. For real. I said this was damn it. I said we were gonna be serious about this one. And we spent most of it talking about being into a sink, and that backfired. I don't know what to do with the third one. I don't know if you have any ideas. Okay, here's my two working ideas that I wrote down. Was that Adam heads to the mountains of Nepal. I don't know why.
Mhm.
I don't. I'm not. I doubt that they're even very dirty. I feel like they're probably doing a great job over there, just keeping it all working. But maybe I'm
Mhm.
just picturing, because he was with like tribal local people in the rainforest one, that he'd be with like the locals, and then I was thinking like, well, if not the ocean and the rainforest, maybe the mountains. But I don't think the mountains are a notoriously dirty area, right? They're actually
Mhm.
pretty hard to traverse, much less litter on. But then again, there's dead bodies littered all over the Himalayas. Like, okay,
True.
here's our angle. Adam is cleaning up all the dead bodies off of Mount Everest. It's too many dead guys all over that place. It's creeping everybody out, and Adam's going to deal with it.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
right, because that's a littered part of the earth. Um, it's nonsense. This is terrible. I guess we should move on. Maybe he could go to the inner city, and
He could
and and lecture the locals there about how to be clean and act rad.
he goes out and has to create parks within the city, and it's more of like a overhead game, like a mapping game.
He's Michelle Pfeiffer, and
Right.
everyone else in the game is, I guess, Coolio. I don't know. I didn't actually see that movie. Okay, well, we're all done here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's probably the best that I can come up with. Yeah, he goes out to the city, he makes stuff work. Maybe he joins a performing group of singers that go around the world and write songs about fixing the environment, but it's like one of those Guitar Hero style games where you have to hit stuff on beat.
Okay,
He's a leading voice for environmental activism, and now he's gonna deal with all the reefs.
that's
He's
a
gonna. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
I got it. I got it. it's all gonna, a lot of it's gonna be like based underwater. There's gonna be like a submarine, and he has to like race against time and use high-tech gadgets, and there's gonna be like ruthless corporate security forces, and he has to make decisions to make a sustainable future.
Okay, so we've just circled back to Echo Quest 1, now with less Cetus. It's just he's back in the ocean. he's still cleaning up the ocean. I like how you did
Yeah.
also circle back to he's an activist, which kind of does settle it. He's just online being preachy.
True.
His back hurts. He's not actually cleaning shit up anymore.
I just wanted to make sure that we gave it its just desserts,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I feel better about it.
Right.
Okay.
So my next one is King's Quest 9, Connor's Revenge. It's like King's Quest moves totally from a role-playing game with like all the way through, but this number 9's like a shoot 'em up game now. And Connor he's out there and he's got a lot of different guns to choose from, and it's kind of like Doom style, and he has to that's how he fixes his problems. But you'll end up like meeting other characters from other levels, and maybe he'll even rescue Rosella, because it's not like they're related, because it's not like he's a part of the family or anything. But why not make another game about Connor? Because, that's what we do.
That's what we want. That's what the fans are clamoring for, is
More
more
Connor.
Yeah, more Connor. Maybe in this one, Alexander is like a brutal dictator, right? Just like full monarch, ruling with an iron fist over the land. And in a twist, Connor has to take Alexander down. But you as a player, like, kind of rooting for Alexander in a weird way, just because
the twist.
Yeah, you don't believe all that stuff people said about him and his sister. You're right.
if that's good. But no, you can switch point of views, and then you can decide who wins and who loses, and that's the cool dynamic in this game, because you can make one of them a total pussy and the other one total badass, or you can make them both epic to fight through to the end, but all of them get guns.
Definitely. And Graham's dead. One thing is for certain, is that you have to deal with the painful loss of a beloved hero.
Right. And by doing that, you just get like a 7% handicap in, say, accuracy or something like that.
Yeah.
That's
something insulting
down
to his legacy, for sure.
Totally.
Wow. I can't wait to play it personally.
There will be a part where you either can choose to shoot or save the unicorn, and it's kind of like the apex of the game. Because the unicorn's already doomed never to trust another living soul ever again. So you won't even know till the end of the game if it was a good idea or not, or if the unicorn even gives a shit, because he's kind of like blasé towards you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's impartial. That's the real twist, is that he never gave a shit at all.
In the first place or after. At no time.
Okay, that talked me back into it. Okay, I like that one now.
We're good.
Okay, we're good.
Back to you.
Yeah, and we're not wanting here. We're both like halfway through our list, so we're doing so much better than I thought. I was a little afraid this would be a really just short and unnutritional episode, but this is fun. Okay, so Laraboe, I've got two. I'm proposing two more Laraboe games. Because I had two ideas I couldn't decide between, basically. So Laraboe 3, Blizzard at the Four Seasons is what I wrote here. So Lara's at a swanky press event hosted at a luxurious hotel in Upper New York when a blizzard traps everyone inside for a weekend of murder.
Ooh, murder.
And this is based on a true story, because when I was a kid, I went on a hockey tournament to northern New York, and the blizzard of '94, I think it was, a big old blizzard hit northern New York in that time frame, and we were all literally trapped in the hotel for three or some days. The hotel staff had all abandoned us. They got out of there before telling people they should, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I was a kid, so I don't know the politics here, but we were, when I say abandoned, there was no food. So there was no kitchen or cooks or people to do anything with the raw ingredients, or they could get into the stoves or whatever. And one Chinese takeout company, literally wearing those tennis shoes, brought us all food and saved us. I mean, not that we would have died. It was 3 days. Like, there was a lot of hunger, but we would have been fine anyway. Point is that this could happen. You can get snowed in to a hotel in Upper New York to where you're trapped in there for a weekend, especially in 19 whatever 34, I guess, whenever Laura would have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very, very reasonable to say she's stuck in a hotel during a blizzard. It doesn't have to be in New York. I'm going to loosen my grip on that a little bit. And she's there for a thing
Mm-hmm.
as you would be there for, and people start dying because you gotta seclude her. You gotta make her trapped in the place. So like maybe not physically trapped, but kind of like Larabo one, and then with the museum, like there's got to be a reason to keep her in there, or to maybe more so to keep the outside world out.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wants to stay because she's a journalist, right? We don't have to really keep her there. She wants to get to the bottom of it. But you do have to make it isolated. That's what I'm trying to say. Like try and create some sort of isolation for the murder
Mm-hmm.
mystery vibe to work. So that's where I'm going with that
Ooh.
one. And here, I'll tell you the second one, and then I'm gonna have you pick which one you like better. Okay, Larabo 3 alternate version is I don't have a name for this one. Larabo, this one she's on a luxury ocean liner. Because I like the idea of like, especially considering the era of Larabo, her being stuck on like a Titanic like ship.
Ooh.
Where
I
again,
think the clothing would be great in that one too.
right? Yeah, exactly. So she's on like maybe doing it on the Titanic would be a bit on the nose, if not historically incorrect. But something to that degree, give it heavy Titanic vibes. I mean, look, listen, there was a big cruise liner in Dagger Bomb on Raj. She's on that boat with Dorian. Is that his
Mm-hmm.
name? That's actually his name. Good job,
I
Brain.
think so.
John Dorian. John Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
and they're out at sea, and murders start popping off left and right. And she's like, "Why? This just always happened to me," or whatever Bruce Willis said in Die Hard 2. This is what keeps happening around me. And you just, as the audience, you just take it. You just take it right on the chin. Like, fine,
Yeah,
okay,
you have no
fine.
choice. You're in now.
Exactly. Like, look, I came to Die Hard 2. What did I expect? So that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing here. Laura is just just a magnet for murder.
Murder and mayhem.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you
I
like better?
I like the ocean one just because I like the idea of the period costumes and being isolated on a boat, and like they did that with Larry Seven. It was a whole game isolated on a boat. I thought it went rather well.
Yeah, so just a lot less sex and a lot more murder. Well, how about just a lot more murder?
Well, okay, in my idea that I came up with, I was thinking that she ends up getting this like weird cryptic telegram, and then she ends up going to Moulin Rouge, and like there's all these performances, and there was like this
Ooh.
one dancer, and she was murdered, and there's this like whole conspiracy all through the showgirl world. But the twist is there's a chance of romance for Laura, and due to choices that she makes throughout the game, she'll get drawn to like this certain actor within this world, and that's the twist on
That's great. I really like the idea of like the cops are onto us. They hear us talking about murder.
it. It's true.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Bit showy, that whole.
Hmm. Little, I
Anyway,
just thought with it would be a lot. It would have an interesting cast of characters because people that do shows or do theater productions are always kind of a little bit grand or a little bit wild. And if there was murder, there's lots of chances for stage murders and in-house murders, and kind of hit that phantom vibe or that side of things. So it could be fun.
I love a good phantom vibe. You know that. So I think
Hmm.
this is a great idea. I love the Moulin Rouge scene, going to France, like again, working within that time period. It has me picturing
Hmm.
like the beginning of Fate of Atlantis in a way, with like this European stage play sort of vibe,
Hmm.
and really, I guess Indy would have been set in a similar time frame. So
Yeah,
it just, yeah,
totally.
I can feel that one happening. We'd have to, off the bat, you'd have to send John Dorian off to war to die. He's got to get on out of the game so she can have
Hmm.
love interest in the new one, right? So Dorian, he fucks off to World War I, and that way Lara is free to be promiscuous in this game,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Established. Okay. Wow. Well, there's 3 more Lara games, because and they all fit that roaring 20s, kind of 30s, slightly less
Hmm.
roaring 30s vibe. Um, yeah, I don't know, because I didn't sell the era with the hotel thing, but the reason I went with the hotel was I don't, especially when it comes to like old swanky luxurious hotels like bellhops. and and
Mhm.
and and leather, red velvet chairs with the button work,
Mhm. Mhm.
little diamond pattern forms because of the buttons you
Oh,
put in the chairs.
totally.
Oh, and
Totally.
they're round, like a full
Mhm.
360 round
Mhm.
velvet chair.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Love that stuff.
That's so perfect.
So yeah, so we got Laura Bows 3, 4, and 5. They're all prepackaged for you. Plug and play.
Yep. Plug and play. And then, okay, so did we talked about Larry's aid as potentially being a thing, didn't we, or didn't we? Because that was what my next one was.
Yeah, well, no,
Because,
hit it. We'll just add that this was they were gonna actually do this, but they didn't. And since they didn't, and we don't know what they were gonna do, here's what we would have done for them.
because he, remember at the end of the last, he ended up getting an oil company deed, and he marries, what's her name, at the end of the game, Captain Thai's daughter, right? And then so him and her end up having like a whole bunch of sex because he showed her the deed and was like, "Oh no, I'm totally rich," but actually he's not super rich. So like they go off, they're doing it. He doesn't really have what she thinks he's going to have. So like there's the opening for the next one to start out and not be based in a college and not be called magna cum laude.
Right. Boy, was that on the nose. Yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
like this. In your interpretation, is he still going to space?
Wouldn't that be cool? I would love it
He is
if
now.
Larry he's in space right this freaking second. It just happened. And there's like, that just wouldn't it be cool? We could do an episode on like crossovers sometime. Because I'm like, now that he's in space, him and Roger going out to the bar. Oh my God, what a cool night that would be.
It would be. I was thinking this the other day that we should consider doing something where like we swap characters out,
Ooh.
sort of thing. Like I think I was thinking along the lines of like you put Guybrush in Space Quest and Roger in Monkey Island. Kind of go from there.
Yeah, he's trying to insult sword fight, and in the meantime, he's just getting lasered.
Yeah, exactly. You put Willie in Echo Quest and Adam in Willie. That was
Oh no.
no,
Wait,
no.
who's Willie's going where?
You get out of Willie, you bastard.
Just trying to free him. Give me a minute.
And Willie's like, that's why I shaved my legs. I wanted it. Okay, all right, sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Don't it's all the people listening, right? It's not me. You never have to apologize to me. It's them. I'm sorry, guys. You're
Yeah,
right.
sorry about that. It is staying in though, because it was
No,
it was a decent
it's all
callback.
staying in at this point.
Okay, so what if the deed did pay out,
Hmm.
and
And
because
then
he's so crazy rich, because it's like I used to always get annoyed in please
oh,
run with your inspiration, child.
because it really did pan out and he really is rich, and all the previous girls that either had ditched on him or he was trying to get from all the other games are now trying to get him, and that's the new game.
There you go. There you go. He's like a space cowboy, where
Yeah.
he's got too much money, so he spends it by like launching cars into space, but being in them while they launch, and just he's in space because because I like the subversion of it. This was such a trope back in the day, like with Al Bundy and
Hmm.
Homer Simpson, where it's like no matter what, it always gets taken away from them, and that
Hmm.
can be a little frustrating. I remember like as a kid getting annoyed at Married with Children because they just never gave him one damn win. It
I
was
know.
always
Me
taken
too.
away. Like
Always.
like at least Homer got to like spend the riches doing something fun. Like I don't
And
like when it,
travel.
right, exactly, go to fun place, exotic places. So for Larry, it's like instead of taking it away from him again, let him have it and just let him blow all the money on
Hmm.
going to space and doing ill-advised shit like that.
Yeah.
And then he dies of the inevitable STD that he's absolutely going to catch by being able to
Right.
sleep with that many women. Yeah.
Right. Especially like women in space may have multiple things you can catch STDs from, even if you only have one. I'm not sure
Right.
how it would work. Like the
Well,
details is another episode, but
yeah, like some diseases probably cure human things, like some
mhm.
STDs are like a good thing to have.
But then
That's a
when you
weird
give it back
soundbite.
to the alien dies because it does the opposite for them. Oh no, that would be like a terrible paradox.
Right now we have like a hybrid of like Freddy Farkas kind of like concoction mixing up alchemy and
Hmm.
and all right. All right, we should probably
Yeah.
move on. Um okay, I guess it's my turn. So next I've got Thimbleweed Park 2, there's still time for this one. They might actually just be doing this one themselves, which is fine. But I like my idea for it, so you all are gonna listen to it, if you don't mind, please. So here I go. Thimbleweed Park 2 begins like a replay of 1, but off the bat, you're in Dolores' shoes. Okay, shit. Man, there's like, okay, actually, hold on. There's crazy heavy spoilers ahead for Thimbleweed Park.
Oh, right. Yeah, because the ending of Thimbleweed Park's a little
Okay, I
intense.
don't think we've ever done this in our 197 episode history, but I promise I'm gonna put a timestamp for real for where to skip to. If you haven't played Thimbleweed Park to completion, then skip. Hey, be serious. Then skip ahead to the timestamp below. Okay, ready? Go. Oh, if you're not one of those, please skip, because this is again just a crazy big spoiler. Okay. I said I'd do the timestamp, which I got to write that down real quick. You promised a timestamp. Okay, got it. Now, Thimbleweed Park 2. So Thimbleweed Park ends with the simulation thing, where it's like, shit, we're in a video game. Like, dang, that really messes up my weekend plans. And so Thimbleweed Park 2 begins off just like Thimbleweed Park 1. So kind of Groundhog Day-ish, but instead of being Ray and Reyes, well, technically you start off as the German guy who gets killed. Doesn't matter. The first playable person you start off with is Dolores. So you are Dolores, who let's say, for the sake of framing this, you're Dolores, who's unaware that in that exact moment of the game starting, that Ray and Reyes are down the street discovering the body. So you're Dolores doing whatever Dolores was doing when last time you were playing as Ray and Reyes, taking pictures of the body. Were you all there? Check. Okay, moving on. Dolores thinks that the first game's ending was a bad dream, or just doesn't have recollection of it. But eventually, she can't help but notice the inconsistencies in her reality, or there's glitches, or it becomes apparent that feeling that she had from completing the game was true. And then, so therefore, the bulk of the game, that brings us neatly along to the bulk of the game, where Dolores is aware that she's in a simulation and she can't escape. Maybe not without like a larger, more collective conscious form between her and the residents of Thimbleweed, or something like that, some sort of like goal to work towards, to actually get out of the thing. But the point really being, the point I find of interest, to the point where I almost hope they do something like this, is like you replay the first game in completely different context. So like all those familiar events are still like playing out as they did the first time you played it, but this time you're Dolores and you're aware that it's all not real.
Cool. I like that overlay. That's like that phantasmical, otherworldly, like
Dude.
dropsy almost has that, or something. Just like this isn't real, but it is real. Just kind of, that's cool.
Yeah, right. And you get to see it all from her perspective, knowing it's not like you know something nobody else does, and but at the same time, like I imagine like Ransom's origin story still triggers, or just things are still happening the way they're kind of supposed to, because it is a simulation with that's on rails. And anyway, so yeah, that's that. I'm gonna stop talking about it now so we can time code everybody back in. Okay, guys, be cool. They're coming back. Here we go. Hey, hi, welcome back from being at the kids' table while we talked about Thimbleweed Park and stuff. Okay, Anna, what do you have next?
What do I have next? I had Torrens Passage 2, but that was already supposed to also be a thing. But we didn't even bring that one up, did we?
Oh, no, okay, but that's cool. We're not, organized people. It's fine. So Torrens Passage 2 was supposed to happen, and it didn't, and you're going to tell us what would have happened in it.
Yeah, it was supposed to be something like more to do with the Boogle dude, right?
Right. Now with more Boogle. That's
Now with more Boogle. Yeah, and it was going to
Boogle
be
Night. Sorry.
That's okay. I think it was planned by Al. In fact, I mean, we even talked about it briefly when he was on for the episode
with him. We talked about, I think, with Ken as well, where he was saying that Ken, maybe it was just with Al, but Al was saying that Ken's idea for it was to be like a King's Quest like running series.
And then somebody did try like getting it going again in the adventure game land with even voice acting, but in 2004, but it never really happened.
Right. Okay. See, I didn't play Torrens. Torrens is it's in that high upper echelon of B tier games for me to play. I have this little curation of games that I'm sure I'm gonna love, but aren't pixel art, and it's
Yeah,
it's sitting right
I'm the
next to Grim
same.
Fandango and Siberia and shit. So
So I think, I don't know, we kind of aren't the best people to talk about it. Now, I guess that's another game that we could play one day and talk about.
right, we should right. I would need the show to force me to play it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
This is actually, thanks to this show, is really the reason I've played many of the games that I've played, because unless it's work, I'm often not into it.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to create the space to play the games basically with life going on. Like this show is nice like that. It forces us to make space for adventure games.
hmm But
Um.
yeah, I think they tried. It never happened. That's all.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I just all I know is I like the idea of it. Like I can't sit here
hmm
and be like, I really like that because it's super insincere since I haven't played it. But
hmm
it's also not insincere, and I'm asking myself, where's that coming from? And it's just coming from a place of loving the idea of it, and I think just eternally wanting more
hmm
of these games from the creators that we literally know and love. Like it would have been cool if Al could have made another one and to see what he would have done on the continued on with on the more fantastical, um, yeah, less sexual path. So that brings us to my last one. We got one more left each. My last one is I've always wanted again with the twos with Echo Quest. I want a third conquest because there's conquest of Camelot and conquest of Longbow, and I did a little bit of homework on this one because I really wanted to come up with something cool. I'll first preempt with I really wanted something in Egypt, and that didn't come to fruition. I should have forced something to have been in Egypt.
hmm
I almost did it with Laraboe where see I almost did it with Laraboe, but there's two problems. One is that there was so much Egyptology in the second one, and the other issue was that when I started like thinking of it, it turned into the Mummy, the movie, like literally, which Rachel Weisz already. We casted her as Laraboe. Man, that was such a good call. Because actually, another thing, I googled Dagger of Amon Ra. I don't remember why. This might have been unrelated. Doesn't matter. Within the last week or so, I googled Dagger of Amon Ra, and one of the like the first images you see was our podcast episode about it. And first,
hmm
that's just kind of neat, right? We're like, yeah, weird, that's us. Um, but the cover of the thumbnail for that episode was Rachel Weisz next to Laraboe, and I was like, man, we fucking nailed that. Like that is just bloody perfect. But anyway, so I couldn't do Lara with Egypt for those reasons, and I failed to put it in anywhere else. Because okay, so with Conquest, I wanted my small criteria was something in I don't know. I don't know what my criteria. I guess my loose, ill-defined, actually undefined criteria unto myself was something between like 1000 and 2000 BC. No,
hmm
wait, AD. Yeah, not BC. Right, something like because like Robin Hood, Knights of the Round Table, we're talking like I don't know, like the 1100s, 1400s, like shit like that. I didn't want to do Columbus or anything like that because of all the look around that and bloody politics. Am I right? But
hmm
I wanted something that takes place in the woods is basically what I wanted because like there's so much of that. Maybe I really should have thought about this from the lens of like English lore because really I think Robin Hood and Round Table is well they're very English, but
Well, if
just
you stick with this one, you could do like, okay, the Thunderbirds, they control the weather, and you have to deal with them, and you have to deal with the Great Serpent. He's this trickster guy, and he steals stuff. And like other, you could do like any folklore from the Iroquois legends that.
right. There's yeah. Okay, so I'll say it because I didn't say tell them the thing yet, but so it'd be conquest of Hiawatha.
hmm
Hiawatha. Like Anna and I looked this up before the show, and we couldn't find a conclusive way to say it. It was either Hiawatha or Hiawatha, but either way, there's like a little lisp thing on the like a th, like a
Yeah, and
right
that's because your main guy's a little bit goofy, but he's also determined, right?
exactly. So for you, those of you who don't know, which was me 3 days ago, Hiawatha is of the Iroquois tribe,
hmm
and he did a bunch of cool stuff. Like, let's not worry about all the details here. But what I liked about his story was that like his journey was guided by the spirit of the great peacemaker. So I thought that could be like a cool,
Mhm.
like actual companion in the game, like probably like an NPC companion, not like a switchable character, but still to have like, you know, to have that kind of, well, I keep saying the word companion, but to
Like
have a,
Cedric kind of deal.
yeah, dude, exactly. Thank you. As a matter of fact, it is Cedric. It's just
Yes.
it's
And
Cedric's great
Cedric.
great grandpappy.
And then there's like you have a psychedelic dream sequence because you take some like ritual hallucinogens, and
Ayahuasca.
yeah, and in that your dream Cedric comes to you, and then when you come out of the dream sequence, now he's real. And
Right.
then he goes with you through all of your like your quest defeating the features, but
I like
also
that.
like okay, you can do little extra things. I think like you can craft fishing rods and spears, fashion disguises from animal skins, and like build bridges and make tools to overcome problems in your environment. And then for like negotiation, because you have to negotiate for trades, there's like mini games around negotiation.
Right.
And you could have, I don't know, little educational pop-ups, or no, resource management. So like resource management among the tribes. So there's like dials, and you can set numbers and things. So it goes really in depth.
Dude, yeah, okay, I got a few notes on that. One, I told you Canadians were weird about natives. You got so excited about this. You like, really just jumped right in, rolled your sleeves up. Like, here, look, listen, here's what we're doing, and I got this. But dude, I love your idea of bringing Cedric from the dream. Like that is such a
Mhm.
perfect Native American on the nose thing. Like you take a bunch of mushrooms and you dream, and Cedric's all like, "That was a poisonous mushroom."
And then you wake up, and that's the after effect. You're
Yeah,
like your
that and the
hands are a bit
diarrhea.
fuzzy, and the
Yeah.
diarrhea. And there's Cedric. It's like you're like, why didn't I drink chocolate milk first, man? Why?
Oh my god, yeah, that's awesome. That's how you get stuck with Cedric. And then you have encounters with like mythical Native American things, like you said, the Thunderbirds, the Great Serpent. I like the idea of like the serpent being like more trickstery than villainousy. That's very good. And you get high as shit and see things. It's gonna be a fun game. Um,
It is.
you combine inventory to craft things, right? A lot of crafting going on with
Hmm.
the native
Hmm.
tribes and lore, I believe. You're gonna make a nice moccasin probably,
Hmm.
and all the while you're bloody bringing democracy to the native tribes of that time. So you feel good about that when you're done. Ah, love that one. Okay, I'm done.
You're good. You feel good with that one. All right. Well, my last one is Manhunter 3. Here's the shtick. Now with mouse control. This is it, but it carries on, right? Because at the end of Manhunter 2, Phil kind of escapes in the orb ship, and you, the player, you're hanging off the outside, and you're flying off towards London because you turned all the mutant slaves back into humans, and da 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 da. That's a spoiler ish, but that's going to happen at the end of Manhunter 2 for the few people that have gotten that far. But it just continues on in that vein because Barry and Dee Dee and Dave Murray were all, I mean, they were great writers, and I know that they're not all alive anymore necessarily, but if perhaps it was done back in the day, like I think they were going to do it. There was a whole bunch of talk online about a Manhunter 3, and I almost got teased. Did you ever hear anything about that?
I can hardly go a day without hearing about it.
It happens all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
You're
does.
like you're in the lineup at the coffee shop, and all of a sudden all the talk
Yeah,
all
I'm like,
around
God, I
you.
know. Please stop messing with me. I can only imagine a world in which we finally got the third one. So
But yeah, because they did the Ancient Art of War series, and they did a whole bunch of other series.
yeah, they
So
went to get milk on the Manhunter series. They're like, we'll be back.
that's kind of what happens. But no, that was it. It would have probably been like a 3D kind of a game, maybe.
Ugh, why'd you do that at the end? I was liking it.
You were in until that, but no, it's not gonna. They had, to me, some of the most beautiful art.
Yeah.
Manhunter and Gold Rushed with AGI interpreter, whatever. That their graphics were beautiful, and it was the maximum amount of beauty you could get out of the minimum amount of colors.
Oh God, I really need to play the Manhunter games. I really, really do, because I like I like the kind of cyberpunky vibe of it. Again, I love the idea of it, and it's not even really the mouse control that kept me away from it. I just haven't tried it, and I always say to people, including on this podcast, I'm just calling myself out just preemptively or in case that there's only the 2 Sierra games I have left to play, and I'm savoring Conquest of Camelot, whereas I'm just kind of putting off Iceman. But I always forget about the Manhunter games, and I technically pedantically played them as a kid because my dad was heavily influenced by the knife and finger part of that game. Um, to where like we used to play, I think, just that segment, because I have vivid memories of playing that segment of the game with him. And then like every time we went to like a restaurant or whatever, we would always do that. Like,
Well, there was in Scum VM, you can add mouse control, and although you can't do everything with it, you can do a fair bit.
Okay, cool. Because I know like Sierra Help has a mouse control patch, but I couldn't get it to work
Yeah,
with
Scum
DOSBox.
does.
So Scum got it. Okay.
Get in there. And I mean, okay, so back in the day, there was supposed to be a Manhunter 3 London. There was somebody that mentioned in Sierra Online history back in like 2016, but I can't get a name on the post. But they ended up getting a letter straight from Ken Williams. And his name is Danny, by the way, in Sierra Online history. Anyways, they said, yeah, it should be coming out soon. When can we see it? Right now, we're doing another Art of War. After that, we are not sure. A lot depends on how well the first 2 Manhunters sell. And they did. They did the next Art. They did the next Art of Wars, but no, it's just too bad. Never happened.
Yeah, it's interesting because the second one was San Francisco, right? So they would have kept that major city theme. Okay.
And they left the second one kind of up and on, like it wasn't. It was left totally open, right? Like
Right.
you're literally hanging off the side of a spaceship. It is not like, oh, here everything's all neatly tied up. Like you've solved this, but clearly you're on to the next one. So they gave you that op for sure.
Right. Yeah, Sierra usually did that. Sierra almost acted like modern cinema does, where they're like, hey, if this is a giant hit, we're definitely making more whether anybody likes it or not. So always leave a little room in case where, yeah, that's interesting to think about too. I've never thought about before. Maybe there's less sequels in LucasArts because the game stories didn't call for them or leave it open. As we already really concluded with other stuff a while ago. I don't remember. Full Throttle.
That was a long time ago, man.
Oh yeah, same
Even the
Max.
people listening are like, guys,
I
that
don't
was
know, yeah.
no, long time ago.
So, like, I actually got to work, did a whole work day, and I'm on my way home now. So I don't remember the first part of the episode at all.
Yeah, totally. For those that are listening in the vehicle to work, going to work right now, I hope that your workday is smooth and goes quickly. And if you're on your way home from work, I hope that your day was decent enough that you can still enjoy the rest of your time.
Yeah. And fuck that guy. You were right. They were wrong about said project. Yeah.
Every time, though. I mean, he's just like that. She is.
Yeah. That's such a them thing to do.
For real.
Yeah. You could tell by the Karen haircut. Okay. Well, anyway, we're done. I think we're done.
We're good. Okay. Well, I just want to take a minute to shout out to all of our lovely Patreon people, whether or not they wanted to be shouted out, depending on the tier that they're in, because I'm just finally getting the layout of how to deal with all of this stuff. But right now we have a new Patreoner, and that would be Gareth. Thank you so much. You are definitely in the extra special thanks tier and more. So thank you for your help in keeping the podcast running and making it fun. And, every little bit we get here goes into making the production that much better. As you can hear, it just keeps going up and up and up in production value. You don't have to say anything, Paul. Just nod your head and say, yeah, that's right.
No, because of the generous donations, I'm making an effort to talk into the microphone this week, for example. So, yeah, no, it's on the ground improvements.
It is. So thank you,
Gareth. You're awesome.
Michael Council,
Sorry,
I really, you're here. You're good. Thank you. In Australian dollars, it's actually more. It's $17 per month because it costs more to be in Australia. Money wise, like the Canadian money is worth around the same as the Australian money, but the American money is it's challenging. So yeah, really appreciate that extra little bit you have to put in because of that circumstance. And Jay Holmes, you have been rock star solid, even though you don't even have to be, considering the tier that you're in since like, I don't even know, forever ago. So continue being that. And I mean, not only that, but you're also like a pillar in the adventure gaming community. You're everywhere. You're in the streams and you're supporting people and just generally being a super awesome guy. So thanks. And many of you would recognize that as the 32-bit kid. We know this guy. So Brian Manown, also thank you. You rock it in the extra special thanks tier and are also
Death-defying music. It's fucking phenomenal.
Precisely what I was going to say. He also does music. It's really great. It's the kind of music you listen to once, twice, and then you just throw it into your regular rotation forevermore because it's just that good. And Jeffrey Couch, thank you so much for participating to help out the podcast and all the other awesome things that you're doing. Mark Fillion, thank you as well.
Check out Chinatown Detective Agency. I should have said that last week, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Or the what is the wine one called again? That one was really good. Terror.
It's very much like what you're trying to say.
It's all about like you get to do like wine culturing and like all the different phases. I'm so sorry. I'm not good with words today. But also
definitely check out Chinatown Detective Agency, which we can pronounce.
Yes. Because it's great because it's a game, but you go out in the real world to solve some of the problems within the game.
That's gorgeous. Larabo-esque.
It's beautiful. Totally good. And Tim Ellis, thank you as well.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, very much. No, Tim Ellis would also, I'm sure, like the game, perhaps has even played the game. And thank you for supporting the podcast. And hey, if anybody we're talking about here that's in the extra special thanks tier has a project they're working on that we're not mentioning, feel free to shoot us a message or an email to tell us. And we'll probably say what that is when we're saying your name, because I think there's so many cool, talented people out here. Secondary thanks to Ryan and Roberta, who are also admins in the Classic Gamers Guild, for supporting the podcast month after month, and a whole bunch of other absolutely wonderful people, including Anna, which is me, because I've been supporting the podcast for 52 months in a row.
Wow,
at $1 per month.
It's a good investment. It's definitely gonna.
My husband asked me about that. He's like, "What's this Patreon charge for like $1.62?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's for the podcast." He's like, "Well, why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Well, I've been supporting it." And then I got on it and I'm like, well, I shouldn't stop supporting it just because I'm there. That would be rude. I'd be like, oh, now that I'm on it, I don't believe in you anymore. I believe in me. I believe I'm worth the investment. So there it is.
So we always have one. You can't take our own selves away from it. So
no. Yeah, that's where that is. And the other things I will say is thank you so much for listening. You can send us an email about any of the things I mentioned in the show or anything we haven't. We've gotten some amazing meals, some we haven't gotten to. I know we're really, really super duper behind. Oh, right. That was it. Matthew Turk wrote us an email thanking me for the way that I made fun of his name, which I hope was all in good jest. I really appreciate you listening to the episode and your time.
You might say he Turk it the right way?
Yes.
Is that how you pun? Did I do a pun?
No, you did a pun, I think. I was trying to avoid the pun, but you put it there. That's fine. You can't control other people. It is a good thing.
You say that like you hate I said it that. I said it that. Well, okay. We're at the end of an episode for sure.
No, it's good. So you contact us at Twitter, CGG Podcast, or at Phantom Fellows. And you can also send us your words or worms. If you want to do like a King's Quest 4 vibe, then take some worms away from a bird, shove them in an envelope, and email that envelope to mail@classicgamersguild.com.
And include a picture of the bird after you took them, where the bird's like, dude, what the fuck?
There's
so many worms out here. Why did you
have to take mine?
That took me all day. I'll die without that food.
When my kid was little, he used to throw worms into puddles to rescue them when he'd see them out on the sidewalk after a rainfall. And then I found out through the internet that was killing them. So I didn't have the heart to tell him that. I still haven't. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Right. That's
anyway.
Yeah, same. Now, because now he sounds like Lemmy with the mice, just ignorantly killing them. No idea.
Not trying.
Yeah,
not trying. So yeah, we also we have a group and a page on Facebook, Classic Gamers Guild. We're also on Instagram and YouTube, respectively, the same way. So thank you for listening to the podcast.
Wishlist my game, The Phantom Fellows, and don't do a murder.
Try. If not, the hockey's on.
No, we don't want to take that from them. Don't take hockey from a Canadian and other life lessons.
I'd totally read that children's book.